Hello and welcome to the Beef Edge, the Teagasc Beef Podcast, for all your latest news, information and advice for Irish beef farmers. I'm Catherine Egan and this is the Grass10 update with Grass10 Manager John Maher with grassland management tips for the month ahead. John, currently what's the situation on farms at the moment across the country?
The reality is that we are in surplus grass on most farms. The weather has been unusual, I don't deny that, and it hasn't maybe made it conducive to doing what we call corrective work or, trying to deal with the rain. But what's happened is the rainfall has come now. The week ahead, or the few days we're in here now, is quite warm and dry. So there's a great opportunity here now to deal with the surplus grass on farm. To me, we also are, right smack bang in the middle of the mid-season, which brings stemming of grass. So the opportunity here now is to take corrective action on farm and get the animals into the right grass. And that's fundamentally what we're about. If the animals graze the right grass, they perform better. If they graze the right grass, they graze out well, and the quality for the next grazing is also good. That's where the objective is, to try and get animals back into the right grass and correct the paddocks or fields that are wrong in terms of grass quality, taking out the stemmy ones, the ones that were, undergrazed because of, difficulties with weather or difficulties with grass supply. So with grass supply in surplus, with being in the middle of the stemming season and the weather conditions being good, there's a great chance to get the animals back to the right grass.
In addition to resolving the stem in swards, John, in the coming weeks, second cut silage will be harvested and extra grass will be coming back on farms again. What should farmers be planning now for the weeks ahead?
Yeah, well, it's good that you mentioned extra grass. We've the year 23 and 24, with the exception of autumn 24, they have brought their challenges in terms of weather, they've brought their challenges in terms of quality silage, and even brought challenges in terms of having enough silage. The way the year has gone so far, it has been a very good spring. Animals are performing exceptionally well. We want to keep that going. Where there is surplus grass on the farm, that's converted into high quality silage. Then if we talk about second cut area, a lot of first cuts got taken a little bit earlier than normal. So, we're going into that area of second cut, and people have to make a decision on the quantity and quality that they want and in the system they're in. I suppose when we talk about fertilization for second cut, if you have those who are running a bit behind, which will bump into those, there are restrictions on allowances on nitrogen and phosphorus. However, there are no restrictions on K and no restrictions on sulfur. And the quick rule of thumb, we need about 2,000 gallons of slurry, either for second cut or if you didn't do the slurry piece, you can do it after second cut to balance the books. So 2,000 gallons of slurry will balance the books in terms of P's and K's, and it's 10 units of sulfur per cut. The nitrogen then will more or less refer to what you have in allowances. You'll be looking for, I suppose, somewhere between 50 to 70 units for second cut if you're behind. And I have to just guard with allowances. It's fine for me to say one thing, but you have to be very, very conscious of where you are with fertilizer. We're approaching half time now in what we call the grazing season, around the latter end of June, 1st of July. People need to take stock of where they are in terms of, I suppose, particularly nitrogen, but also in terms of P. Whenever we cut second cut, you'd like the P and K to be that was replaced if it wasn't done so beforehand through slurry. Otherwise, we can go the fertilizer road, where you have no P allowance, which unfortunately happens some farms. A product like 0.050, which is called muriate of potash, so that's 0N, 0P, 0N, 0P, and 50K. Like one bag of that will do applied to the acre will do an awful lot to balance the books. It's a very, very easy product to spread. It has a heavy granule, so it's something that's quite useful to farms to have in the yard. One pallet won't break the bank, but it's very, very useful now where we have restrictions on nitrogen and particularly P.
Given the weather this spring, a lot of farmers carried out some reseeding, John. How should those paddocks be managed in the coming weeks, and particularly the white clover, either in existing swards or in a reseeded sward?
Yeah, it's a great question. We've gone through unusual weather patterns. If you're more to the north, you've got a lot of rain. If you're more to the south, probably didn't get enough rain. If you were more to the south, it went very, very dry for a spell. So the point I'm really making here is that the anybody who reseeded in the months of April and May, there is very variable germination in many parts of the country, particularly the south. This is what we call secondary germination. So some plants came early, others didn't germinate, and now have germinated with the rain in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And you have different stages of development. So it's careful planning, right? In many cases, all the plants, both those who germinated early and those who germinated later, are all needed to gain a successful sward. If you have plants at different stages of development, plants only maybe an inch high, or clover plants just barely peeping, going in with a herbicide at this stage will kill them. So in many cases, unless the establishment is uniform, to me, we have to go in and graze first and then go with the herbicide afterwards. Some of the herbicides provide flexibility in that, particularly a product like Proclova that's good on docks. Now, its weed spectrum is narrow enough, but you can control docks with that reasonably well. So, in some cases, a shot of fertilizer, like a compound, or if you don't have a pea allowance, a bit of nitrogen fertilizer would help bring the sward on. So that these really have to be monitored now. It takes a bit of planning and timing to get this right. If the weed populations in certain circumstances have moved very fast too. If the weed population gets very, very large, it overshades or shades out the grass and the clover. So yeah, there's a balancing act here now. It takes a bit of planning, Catherine, to be honest, in dealing with the reseeds. Walking, looking, you may need to, balance between what weeds are there and what plants are coming. If we move too early, we might do damage to the new sward. If we move too late, the weeds might take over. It's all compromise, and you're trying to get the best balance within it. I suppose quick rule of thumb would be, if the grass plant has 2 leaves and you're reasonably okay, on that, then you have a sporting chance. The clover would need, kind of 3 stalks with 3 leaves to be reasonably resistant to the sprays that are going to control the weeds. So yeah, there's a bit of thinking on this. Sometimes it's a combination. Normally the thing to do is spray first, apply a bit of fertilizer, then graze. I'm going to suggest that we maybe move that around a bit. Maybe we fertilizer, graze, and then spray. There's a bit of thinking required in this, because we need all the plants. Where clover has adequate content, there's a great chance to make use of that clover and make savings on nitrogen fertilizer application. Sometimes a coating of watery slurry would be better applied after grazing to a clover sward than nitrogen fertilizer anyway.
That's great. Thanks, John, for the grass update.
Thank you very much.
Further information from Grass10 can be found on the Teagasc website. And join me Wednesday for your next Beef Edge podcast.